Welcome to Hidden Reality, where we uncover the truths buried beneath the surface. Today's explainer sounds exactly like a Hollywood thriller, but trust me, it is chillingly real. Let's just dive straight into it. The absolutely impossible illusion of a fugitive who literally created his own country out of thin air. We are going to have bulls and cows, which will talk to you very clearly, legitimately in Sanskrit and Tamil. Now, yes, that is an actual promise made by the self-proclaimed Guru Nithyananda. You'd think, right? You'd think a claim like that would instantly ruin a leader's credibility, make him an absolute laughingstock. But what Hidden Reality uncovered is a much darker, highly calculated psychological operation. It leads us to a pretty profound mystery. And really, it's the core question of our explainer today. How in the world did a fugitive, hiding out in an unknown location, convince the United Nations and global governments that he was the head of a sovereign state? We're going to decode exactly how a man with literally no country managed to scam the entire world by exploiting massive systemic blind spots. The sheer scale of the deception we're about to unpack, well, it's going to blow your mind. Part 1. Rise of the False God. Look, he didn't just stumble into power, okay? He engineered a massive cult following through highly exaggerated, totally illogical speeches. I mean, we're talking about a guy who claimed he could cure cancer and publicly stated he debunked Einstein's E=mc² formula. Yeah, but behind the scenes, he weaponized non-disclosure agreements to silence his victims. He used blind faith and a carefully manufactured narrative of Hinduism in danger as this impenetrable shield against horrific accusations. And to be clear, these weren't minor infractions. We are talking about kidnapping, torture, and the tragic death of a 24-year-old woman inside his ashram back in 2014. So what we're looking at is essentially the timeline of a cornered criminal. Back in 2010, a scandalous video exposes his behavior, leading to an arrest in Himachal Pradesh. Fast forward to 2014, and you have that mysterious death inside his ashram. Then, by 2018, as the trial for his mounting rape and abuse cases finally begins, he realizes the walls are closing in, so he starts plotting his escape. And then, boom, 2019. Amidst fresh kidnapping charges, he completely flees the country and suddenly declares the formation of a sovereign nation, Kailasa. So instead of facing justice, he decided to just vanish and reinvent reality. No stupid court can prosecute me for revealing the truth. I am Param Shiva. Broadcasting from a hidden, completely undisclosed location, he basically elevated himself from a self-proclaimed guru to a supreme deity. It's almost genius in a twisted way. If earthly laws apply to humans, his strategy was to just make himself untouchable by claiming to be a god. Part 2. Blueprint of an Illusion. Now, you might be wondering, how exactly do you fund a fake country? Well, with a meticulously designed nation-building money machine. Step 1. Flee to Nepal and grab a fake passport to reach the Americas. Step 2. Extract millions in donations from wealthy non-resident Indians and high-level IT executives, people who genuinely believed he was just a persecuted religious leader. And Step 3. Funnel that cash safely through 13 legally registered global NGOs. Hidden Reality actually tracked this financial blueprint, and it reveals exactly how he laundered millions right under the noses of international authorities. He just wrapped the whole scam in a cloak of charity and religion. 1,200,000. That is the staggering number of people who applied for free e-citizenship to Kailasa. They were lured in by this highly professional, meticulously crafted digital facade. To put that into perspective, it really shows you the terrifying, dangerous power of an internet mirage when it actively targets people's deepest beliefs. And honestly, on the surface, Kailasa looked entirely legitimate. They had a reserve bank printing Kailasian dollars, boldly claiming $1 equaled 1 tola of gold. They boasted 18 government departments, including Treasury and Commerce. Guys, they even had fake official passports that bizarrely claimed to grant the holder access to 11 dimensions, which, hey, it's quite the perk for border control, right? All of this alongside a national anthem, a flag, and a state-run university. But when Hidden Reality looked closer at these documents, we found that this elaborate infrastructure was nothing more than a well-funded internet mirage, built solely to legitimize his cult. But here's the truly terrifying part. It actually worked. This was a massive global diplomatic scam. In February 2023, they somehow sent a permanent ambassador to a United Nations conference, absolutely stunning the global community. Back in October 2022, they attended a Diwali party at the UK House of Lords, falsely claiming UK parliamentary support. In 2023, the mayor of Newark, New Jersey, literally signed a sister city agreement with Kailasa. No way, right? They even got a Paraguayan official to sign an MOU exploring UN recognition. It is deeply, deeply unsettling to see how easily his disguised loyalists just completely bypass the vetting processes of the world's highest diplomatic institutions. Part 3. The Bolivia Land Grab. So despite their massive digital success, Kailasa lacked one very real thing: actual physical land. And this singular need led his operatives deep into the Amazon jungle in 2024. Get this, they attempted to lease a staggering 4.8 lakh hectares of Amazonian land from Bolivian indigenous tribes for 1,000 years. Disguised as helpful tourists offering forest fire assistance, his operatives presented these complex English-language contracts to totally unsuspecting tribal leaders. And the demands of this 1,000-year lease? Absolutely audacious. They wanted complete sovereignty and autonomy over the land, total ownership of all underground and above-ground natural resources. They even demanded that the indigenous tribes militarily defend Kailasa from any attacks. Oh, and legally support their admission into the United Nations. It was basically a silent invasion. But thankfully, before this massive land heist could be finalized, some brave journalists from a Bolivian newspaper exposed the whole scam, which led to the rapid deportation of 20 Kailasa operatives. Part 4. The Digital Mirage. So with their real-world ambitions utterly shattered, the whole operation just retreated back into the shadows of the internet. The illusion? A sovereign Hindu nation with an island near Ecuador, a functioning reserve bank, and UN recognition. But the reality that Hidden Reality uncovered is very, very different. It's just a network of websites, an AI chatbot that literally throws errors when you ask it where the country is, and a fugitive hiding out in an unknown location. Honestly, the entire state is currently being run through Photoshop, email spam folders, and a network of blind followers. In fact, once global governments finally caught on to the scam, the cult hastily updated their website. They started claiming it's a cosmic, borderless nation, the world's greatest digital Hindu nation. You see what they did there? They completely pivoted, rebranding from a physical country to merely an ideology, just scrambling to cover their legal tracks. Let's ground this in actual international law for a second. Under the 1933 Montevideo Convention, the legal standard for statehood requires a defined territory, a permanent population, a government, and the capacity to enter into relations with other states. So by every single metric of international law, Kailasa is a complete phantom. It possesses absolutely none of these crucial requirements. And yet, the show goes on, mostly through absurd distractions meant to keep his followers engaged and, of course, keeping their wallets open. He claims the Earth is hollow and houses an ancient alien civilization. He promised to give 3 billion people a literal, physical third eye. He even claimed to be building a cosmic airport for aliens to land. But paradoxically, despite claiming to be an immortal god, he frantically sought political asylum in Sri Lanka for medical treatment back in 2022. So even while running this massive international syndicate, he continued to feed his followers increasingly bizarre sci-fi claims, all just to distract from his declining health and his harsh reality as a fugitive. So what does this all mean? It brings us to a chilling final thought for this explainer. How do systemic blind spots allow a man with no country to exploit international laws and millions of believers? It really forces us to reflect on the shocking vulnerabilities within our global institutions. I mean, when a totally fake country can just sit down at a UN conference, that highlights the dangerous, unchecked power of weaponized belief. As of June 2026, the fugitive remains at large. He's still out there, broadcasting his sermons from an unknown location, just continuing the illusion. Well, this mystery has been decoded by Hidden Reality. Subscribe to Hidden Reality for more deep dives into the unknown.